Guru Kripa Kevalam. Namaste and welcome everyone to Satsang today. Sadguru Sri Muji Baba Ki Jai. Okay, there's a hand up already. Let's go to Mahesh.
Hello.
Hello, my dear.
I have no idea what I'm going to talk
What are you
about.
not thinking today?
Yeah, I don't know. I just had the feeling last night that I should put my hand up, and I was thinking of lots of things. And yeah, I still have that feeling to put the hand up, but I don't. Um, yeah, I'm just kind of coming at it fresh. I have no idea
Okay, yeah.
what we'll talk about. So, hello.
Hello.
One thing that does come to my mind is that there's been a lot of like this past week there's been nightmares most nights, and a lot of pains and aches, and a lot of sick stomach, and there's been a lot of that kind
Oh,
of thing. I've been trying to follow Guruji's kind of 30 days and 30
yes,
nights,
yes.
and yeah, so that's but like there's so many good little pointers and practices that are helping me to uh, find kind of ease and peace with all of that. Like even in one of the nightmares, I was saying, "This is a dream. This is just a dream," and with the physical stuff to just kind of okay, this is how life is expressing in this moment. There doesn't have to be a story of an I or me who's suffering it. And all of those things just seem to come in really handy, really helpful. Yeah, because then there's no expectation of, oh, this terrible thing is going to continue, and suffer that thought.
Exactly.
Yeah. So.
Good. I feel like that's a good starting point to start with for today's satsang because it sort of clarifies to us the usefulness of spiritual pointings. You see, now there are, like everything phenomenal, there are pros and cons to everything, and it is the same for spiritual pointings as well. The use of spiritual pointings, especially in satsang like this, is as an antidote to any other conditioning. You see, as an antidote to any other thought construct, anything posing conceptually as reality, then a spiritual pointing comes and cleans that up. So I've been joking around with this one, which is, what are you not thinking right now? You see, to get you to look away into that which is broader than the conceptual version of, or the conceptual representations of what is, and look beyond that. You see, that into the wordless, unspeakable, intuitive reality. You see, so it is not that we go from one concept and then hang on to another concept. You see, initially it may happen provisionally that we need that. You see, but for most of you who've been with me for some time now, what happens is that the metaphor of the thorn being used to remove the other thorns and then being thrown away is a very, very useful metaphor in this case. You see, so this is what it is used for. The mind will attack you. You see, it will say all kinds of things. and a pointing like Guru Kripa Kevalam, Master's Grace, is all there is. You see, serves as an antidote and brings us back into a neutrality, you see, rather than becoming a new crutch for us to hold on to. You see, so that which helps us return to the open and empty, including the pointer open and empty itself, you see, is useful for satsang of this type, because it is introducing you to something which is far beyond your mind. You see, when you don't rely on conceptual knowledge, you are introduced to your higher aspects of being. You see, where intuitive knowledge is functioning so naturally, and in that way it can work. Um, Another benefit, quote unquote, is that you don't take yourself to be something, you see, except when you're relating to yourself in the versions of what the mind is telling you. You see, when you when you return to the innocence of the space between two thoughts, of the open and empty, what are you? In between two thoughts, what are you? Huh? Not even nothing, isn't it? Because even to claim to be nothing, we need a thought. You see? So we've left the conceptual realm in between any two thoughts. But you still are. But what? You cannot say. But you cannot say here, but here you're not lost. You see? That is why satsang is the movement from head to heart. You see? Not a physical heart, definitely not an emotional heart. You see? And mostly when people say, I'm all heart, man, I'm all heart. You see, mostly they're just saying that they just follow the emotions, whatever way the emotions are driving them. But that is not the heart that I'm speaking of. I'm speaking of the higher knowing, the core of your beingness itself, you see, which is the source of all intelligence. And everything in the waking state gets its light from that light. You see? So coming to satsang is a letting go of the false, and in the letting go of the false, there is a automatic remaining in the heart. You cannot go to the heart. You see? You can only let go of the false. Isn't that so simple? Now, uh, here, you see, here, are you something that any perception can contain? We're taking a bit of a leap, okay? So, and if there's anything, just stop me and just say, what are you saying? You see? Now, here, from here, when you don't refer to any concept to make a reference to yourself, you see, here, are you something contained in perception, or are you even beyond perception? Do either of these apply? Yeah. Okay, should we recap the bowls? We haven't used them for a few weeks. Okay. So, in the first bowl, you put all the knowledge that perceptions tell you, everything that you glean through perceptions. You see, I see this, I hear this, I smell this, I taste this, I touch this. All of that goes to first bowl. In the second bowl, we have a lot of knowledge where we've not even relied on perception. We just take it because it came from a believable source, it came from credible mouths. So we end up believing them. You see, so like that the sun, in our perception, the sun is going around the earth. You see, but we've heard now, all of us have heard that it is actually the earth that goes around the sun. You see, so we have that knowledge which we have got from credible sources. So, but for the moment, for the exercise, you keep all of that conceptual knowledge also in the second bowl. And I'm a good person, I'm a bad person, all these judgments also. We don't have a perception of this person, but we have concluded for ourselves. You see, all this conditioning that we have made for ourselves also goes into the second bowl. The third bowl is where you put all your desires, especially your spiritual desire. You see, what will happen if I do this exercise properly? Will I be free? Will I become enlightened? You see, will I have a halo? You see, is this the end of transmigration? All of these things go into the third bowl. Now, what is in the fourth bowl? Perceptions, first bowl, concept, second bowl, desire, third bowl. What is in the fourth bowl? So the tools of perception you cannot use because that is first bowl stuff. The tool that we call the mind, which is you based on language and concepts, cannot use because that is in the second bowl. You see, third is a combination of these, and what is in the fourth. Now, some of you may say that there is nothing. There is nothing. Then my question to you is, in which bowl did you go? All that you perceive went in first bowl. Everything that you can think went in second. And everything that you desire went in third. In which bowl did you go? Are you just a perception? Are you just a thought? Are you just a desire? If you're none of these, how can you know yourself? You see? Now, along with the bowls, I've also given you a hammer, isn't it? What is the hammer? Are you aware now? You see? Are you aware now? You will say, yes, you are aware. You see? Now, that knowledge, that insight, where does it belong? In which bowl? Do you see this awareness? Do you perceive it as perception? You see, if you perceive it as perception, like some may be imagining a dark, empty space and thinking that that is awareness, then ask yourself who is aware of that? Who is witnessing even the dark, empty space? You see, because if awareness fundamentally was the dark, empty space, then we would not have to do these thousands and thousands of satsang. Would come to an empty room, shut all the lights, close all this. Have the darshan of the absolute. You see, if it is just the absence of perception, then there are other ways. There are also some tanks and things. No, now what is it called? Where you can go and submerge. You don't know you're floating in that water tank or something, and you're
Sensory deprivation tank.
sensory deprivation. Yes, you can do these things. You see, and in sensory deprivation, you may feel like there's no perception. You see, so that must be myself, but it's not like that. Although I've heard it's quite a beautiful thing to do, but that is not to come to the darshan of the absolute. You see? So, so this, are you aware now? What is the basis of that knowledge? How do you how do you recognize yourself as aware? So the question is not meant to motivate you to try and squeeze this into your head. Okay? Because sometimes that can happen. How do you do it? Then you're like, how do I do it? You see, that is not the that is not the point. You see, because you can never squeeze this into your head. You can never squeeze self knowledge into your head. Atma Jnana is not something that can belong to your mind. It is too big for it. So, so we are finding this intuitive insight, and the beauty of intuitive insight is that not only is it clarifying, you see, what we really are. Also, when we rely on intuitive insight, then there is no such thing as a problem left in the manifest world. You see, so both the Saguna and the Nirguna are taken care of. Then you go to your heart. Not taken care of according to the mind's plan, of course. And that is a trap that many fall into. You just feel like, okay, I've tried everything, I worked hard, things are not working out. I heard surrender works. You see? So you can bring a material desire into it and say, okay, now no need to work, no need to do anything. I'll just surrender and ba bang, ta. You see, everything that I desired, everything I want will be mine. A great God mode, cheat code in life. It's not like that. You see? So the spiritual desire is there's a bowl for that. Whatever you want to get out of all of this has to be discarded there. All outcomes which you could use as benchmarks for your spiritual progress have to also be dropped there. You see? All this you have to take off and become fully naked into this. All perception, all concept, all desire kept aside. And what have you actually lost? And when I'm saying, so none of it has to be repressed, okay? We're just saying that you don't depend on any of that. All of that can play out. It can continue to play out. You don't have to push anything away at all. Everything can be allowed to play out. Even attention can go wherever it wants. You see? What I'm talking about is what is that which is independent of all of this? The content of the three bowls. What is independent of the content of the three bowls? You see? And how is that to be known? You see? In the case of self knowledge, both the questions are the same. To know it is to be it. You see? To be it is to know it. There is no separate knowing, you see, that you can do on top of that. Your very reality is the very knowingness of it. There is no difference between that, which is even prior to being or not being, and the knowledge of that. You see? Now, letting go of the false, letting go of the ephemeral, what is your representation of yourself? So, when spiritual tools are going to be used, they're going to be used in this way so that we can let go of the source of the trouble itself. You see, it is not meant to help the source of the trouble. You see, although it can seem to do so, and which is fine. You see, but source of the trouble is egotism, the idea of separation. You see? So, so that is why in this simple looking, in this simple self-recognition, you did not come across a layer where, or you did not come across a bowl in which you put the person. You see, because the person is not even perceived. It is just a bundle of conceptual ideas, you see, believed in to create a sense of identity. Therefore, then consciousness plays as if it is a person, it is an individual entity. How to get rid of that which never existed? Yeah. That yellow rabbit, no? Can you just, that yellow rabbit, just keep it out. Yeah. You see, but if you're determined, you see, if you're determined that I have to be rid of the yellow rabbit, then what would happen? If you made it your life's purpose, I have to get rid of the yellow rabbit, what would happen? You would suffer because there is no way to fulfill that purpose. You cannot solve a non existent problem. You see? But to see that, so when the masters tell us that we must transcend this, it is to see that the problem is just fictional, it is just mental, you see? And to let go of that through our pure insight of self recognition is to let go of the problem. But to try and solve it at the level at which it is created is not possible. So to try and resolve it in mental terms, that which is mental is just going to add to more conceptual beliefs. You see? So we just have to clean up. Okay, lots of hands are up, lots of chat is there as well. So you want to add anything, Mahesh, my
I
dear?
just that is something that happened, that the mind was looking for uh, new thoughts, better thoughts to help the person
Mm.
to get through the mind attack, the storm. But relief only came when all of
Yeah,
the everything was just dropped, and yeah, so that happened. Yeah, that was good.
that's very good. Very good. Very good. And I like I saw your message just yesterday. My daughter was on my Instagram, and I'm not so familiar with Instagram. So she showed me that there was some message request or something, and you talked about the thing. I like this idea. It's very nice.
Cool.
Tiny. What is it? Tiny. You can talk
Tiny,
about.
tiny satsang. It's just
Ah,
little poems that are inspired by satsang.
yes.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. Very nice. All right. Thank you, my love. So we have the Oslo gang. Let's go to Oslo. Namaste.
Father, when when Muji approached Papaji, he felt like for a long time his life felt very holy and exalted, and that the master would greet him with open arms. But instead, he found that there was all this arrogance and this anger and this judgment, and there's just so much of this here, and it's so afraid. It's so afraid to be exposed. It's so afraid. I just I just leave it all at your feet and just prostrate to that supreme principle that we undeniably are. Mm.
That's very good. It takes some courage, it takes some integrity to expose this, and I'm glad you did that. You shared it openly. You see, this is very nice. Now, in what aspect of your being is that happening? The frustration, the anger. I'm not getting there. Whatever the theme may be, you see, whatever the theme may be, it could be about all sorts of spiritual confusion or something, or whatever the theme may be. Where does that happen? Is it happening in the entirety of you?
No, absolutely not. So small, so small.
You see? And look at the difference in the reports, because when we broaden our perspective and we are not doing any sort of denial, we're just looking in a more universal way. We that would seem like there's so much of it here has now, in a moment, looks like it's so small. You see?
Mm.
You see? So it may seem to cover your intellect. You see, it may seem to cloud your intellect or your mind, but really, but your being is so much bigger than just your mind intellect system, no?
Yes.
And what is the rest of you saying?
Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram.
Ah,
Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Ram, Ram, Ram. Ram, 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 Ram.
this is a very useful tip for all of us. The mind will play up, it will say, don't go anywhere, first resolve me. I have the real problem. Once you fix me, then we're fine. You see? And how long have we run on that treadmill? Even if some temporary resolutions, relief comes, new problem comes soon. That's why I call the intellect a leaky roof. You patch it up one day, put all this doctor fix it or whatever it is, and then next day again another part. Is why this? If God is kind, then why do these things happen? You see? If the world is like this, if there is karma, then how come I've only been good? You see, all this kind of looks like we got on some of the themes. Just to see that it is not possible. It is not possible for a weighing scale to measure the size of this room. In the same way, it is not possible for the mind to really talk about reality. At best, they are very limited sketches, you see, and usually very confusing. You see. But besides the confusion and all the doubting and frustration of the mind, the rest of you is just shining in such a beautiful light. You see, and even actually the mind is shining in the same light. You see, the mind is shining in the same light. It is only its representations which are fraudulent. It is not that the mind itself is something away from God. You see, the mind itself is also made up of the same light. But what it is, the story it is telling you about what you are and what the world is too limiting. You see, it's like expecting your toenail to represent your whole body. You see, and then we say, but isn't that also my body? Yes, it is, but it's not your whole body. You see, if you're uh, going to go to a dating site or something and you put a photo of your toenail, and people are going to get very confused. Why you do that? No, whatever that, swipe left or something. So, so this representation is what is causing all the trouble. No? This limited representation of yourself as a limited body, mind, which had a birth, has a death, is just made up of food basically. So what's the big deal in that? Sometimes I call it a bundle of falafel. No, just bag of falafel, and we want to give it God. We want to give God to falafel. How is it possible? You see, so and then we wonder why it doesn't happen for us. because we've taken a misrepresentation and we want to feed the highest into that. That just can't happen. You see? So the misrepresentation has to be dropped, and then you tell me if any other exercise is needed. Don't take yourself to be anything that comes and goes, like the Vedantin said, and then tell me, can you want something? Is there any duality? Is there any doership? The
No.
three, the 3D ego is just dependent on that representation, isn't it? Yeah. And the representation is not serving us in a good light. All my love to all of you, all my blessings.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you. Love you all.
Love you.
Okay, I see Pratna next. Pratna can come.
Namaste, Father.
Ah, namaste, my dear. Namaste. You good?
Just wanted to say hello.
I'm not sure what's coming. It could be big tantrum or it could be I love you, father. Which one is it going to be? Or it could be both. No, sorry, I derailed your conversation. You can say it.
No, nothing, Father. Just wanted to say hello. It's the I love you side of it.
Oh. Actually, both sides are this I love you only. Very good, very good, very good. What is some fresh insight you want to share? I love the times, sometimes she goes into these modes where she's just like, none of this is that real, no, father? She just feels like so matter of factly she'll start speaking like this. Okay, all my love. Love you, love you.
Thank you, Father.
Good, good. Come soon. Soon, no? Soon it's happening.
I hope so, Father. Let's see.
Like,
All COVID related, but yes.
yeah. Very good, very good. Love you, love you. Okay, Jai Gurudev can come. I don't hear you, my dear. You have to do that thing every time you have to do something. You have to do that.
Now,
Yes, yes, yes.
namaste.
Namaste.
So I see this person. What is I thoughts? Um,
What's between two thoughts?
what?
In between two thoughts, what is there?
Nothing. And I.
You are there? Huh? Huh?
Nothing. And I.
Yes, yes. When a thought comes, does something change for that I?
no, mm,
And these thoughts, can they ever truly represent this I?
no, no.
But
There is no, but
no, but okay, good,
no.
good.
It's like this. I thought is feeling like a
Say again.
very this. I thought
I thoughts.
yes.
Acha, acha.
I uh, uh, are feeling bueno these I thoughts and also the sensations, etc. No? There is a feeling like very intimate, like it's me that I just saying to you just to maybe um, let it vanish or something. Even this one is in.
What needs to vanish? If you are clear about what you are, then does anything need to come or go?
I don't know.
See? If you remain untouched by whatever may come, and that is your insight now, not just a spiritual concept. If you have an insight that whatever may come, the reality of me as the pure awareness, as the pure witnessing principle remains untouched, then why would we need something to vanish or something to appear?
Yes, I don't know. Okay.
Then leave it. Don't worry about it.
Yes, it's like all these I thoughts and all these sensation. It's not what I am, so I don't have to take charge. No, of all these things.
Any any thought which makes a representation of you or makes any reference to you is an I thought. So
Yeah.
empty of all representations, including the representation that I don't need to do anything because the I thoughts, it is just I thoughts. That I need to do something or don't need to do anything is also I thoughts.
Yes, there are conclusions
Yes.
or something like this. Like this.
Conclusions are being offered, but your being is never hostage to any conclusion.
Yes. Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
Sometimes it feels like if it was in my case and some dessert was being offered, then it feels very difficult to not pick up the conclusion. But it's still possible. You see, so that which we have nurtured with our belief system, that which we have taken to be true for so long, when that seems to appear again, it can seem like that has a certain magnetism which seems to pull consciousness in, and it can feel like consciousness is actually hostage to that kind of mindset. But it's never true.
Yeah, this is maybe because there is a kind of I that can be hosted or something like this.
And there's no such thing. That's only a thought.
Yeah, yeah.
You see, because if there was like an kind of I like this that was hostage, then how would be talking over Zoom, over thousands of miles, help that I? What does the talking do? The talking only helps you to clarify that actually there is no such limited one or bound one or
Mm.
hostage one. To see that is freedom. To presume that there is such a one is bondage. If there would be such a one, what would bind it? Suppose it was a rope that was binding it. Then you would need at least a scissor or a knife, no? You see, words could not rope go away. So if there was some actual bondage, then you would need some implement to resolve it. At least you would need some hatha yoga or something. You see, but and that is fine in its own way. But what I'm saying is that Jnana yoga, which is to point you directly to the clarity of what you are, could not work because if there was some real bondage, that would still need to be deconstructed. And yet it is Jnana Yoga which is called the most direct path. Of course, in every path, whoever is there, I'm sure they feel like that is the most direct path. Suppose you had nothing to resolve.
Not even the sensation of to having something to resolve.
Exactly. You see,
Okay.
I feel sometimes that for in spirituality and especially the ones who've been at it for a long time, then you can just feel like, oh, then if God is just ever fresh, ever available, its presence is always so palpable, then what am I going to do now? You see? I need to fix my mind or something. You see? But the mind is just being the mind perfectly well. It doesn't need to be fixed or changed or anything. It is doing its job fully well. So now no problem left. Then क्या करेंगे अभी? Okay, that's not coming from this side. Where is that? But that's my kind of answer. I like that. Okay, my love. Thank you, thank you. Let me fix the settings a moment. Uh-huh. Okay, Jeta can come. See, I remembered this time.
It's true, Father. Um, hello.
Hello.
Sorry, Father, just this contraction and trembling somehow just so intense, especially in satsang. I don't know why, but it's also hard to follow you too. And at the
Yeah,
same time, no need to follow too at the
yeah,
same time.
yeah.
But yeah, the body is like this now.
That's why I have some simple tricks. Like you don't have to follow much. Just tell me who you are before you hear this. Before you hear this, who are you? You don't
Yeah,
have to
it
follow.
helps. This trembling helps me to recognize this actually. Yeah, that's why
That's
I said
good.
also no
Yeah.
need to follow. Yeah. Um, actually, there is something which I want to bring this, and it's actually very. It seems. Um, I don't know. Somehow, it's kind of not obsession, but kind of mind is always on this and disturbance. Um, I want to speak so clearly about this. it's hard to speak so clear and direct about this actually, because it seems very mm, I don't know, like um some being in my life just disturbs me a lot,
Mm.
and like having a connection with her, just having a connection even though we don't speak, like as soon as we have some kind of connection, it just incredibly disturbs me, and it's not something that I can deny, because it's like I cannot even even in my sleep, like she feels me, and really I cannot deny it, and there is no explanation for this, and when I try it doesn't work, but it is how it is. And I don't know, I feel to bring this to you because it's yeah, for years actually it continues, and when I cut my connection, and it was just so beautiful, but um again it happens, and yeah, I can undeniably I'm just incredibly disturbed, not having a verbal connection, not like this, but having a connection just caused this. And I don't know, I had to bring this to you.
Gotcha.
i
Okay.
i, I don't want to carry.
Yes, yes, my dear. Good, good, good. You shared this, and if this is bothering you for a long time, uh,
When I cut, it stop bothering, and when I again because of because I didn't, yes, some things plays in this, father. One is the very root thing is that to be good, like good with, yeah, to be good, just basically. One is that, and the
that I
other is
that let's pause on this one. This is an
okay.
important one, which because many feel like we have to be good. Just forget it. You can't be good.
Yeah, and I don't want to. Father, I just heard this from Guruji about Jesus Christ. He told someone that why good? There is only God, and I truly can connect with this so much in my heart. And yeah, I have to offer this to you, and I feel already it has been offered, but again, just verbally also, just it's
Very good. Very good.
all
To
yours.
clarify for everyone, because and this is very beautiful what Guruji shared. What happens is that we can be empty, you see, or we can be full of representations, full of notions. You see, now when we are empty, we cannot suffer. In either case, what actions and activities happen through this body mind, some will consider it good, some will consider it bad. That's all up to grace and consciousness how that is going to play out. If you try to take a position that I will be this way or I will not be this way, then we move away from the innocence of a child. You see, a child is not trying to be good, it's not trying to be bad. A child is just being. And yet, the activities from the body which has taken birth are bound to play out because the waking state is a realm of activity. You see, so to leave all that judgment, either do not worry about how others are perceiving that, and also especially don't have a special judgment about the activities of this body mind, which we love to call my body mind or me. You see, either take the whole universe to be your body, you see, and then the movements of this body, that other body, all of that, you see, are part of your body, or don't take anything to be your body. But when we pick and choose, and in the realm of perception, we say, no, no, only this is me, and that is another, then that can cause a lot of this trouble. How can one set of perception be good, good to another set of perception, or how can that, why is that set of perception always so bad, bad towards another set of perception? Then we are speaking at a different level of granularity, where really solutions are rare to find. You see? So see how, where is the line that divides you with the rest of the universe? And if you cannot find such a line, then the universe must be you. Either that, or if you are a Vedantin, you could say everything that comes and goes is not real, it is not me. So let go of it. This flesh bucket only is running in one direction, no? You see, is only running in one direction. It tries to use its desire and doership and duality to make some meaning out of it, but actually it is just going towards death. You see, it's going towards the graveyard and the cremation ground. So what we want to understand is
Connection has been cut, Father. I couldn't hear the last things that you
Acha,
said.
I said that this internet is unstable today. Is it on? Is it in range? To see if the antenna. Don't worry, don't stay. Okay. Okay, let's hope it was just temporary. We were just talking about the temporary nature of the body, so it was, it was just getting clarified there. So in the same way, you see, where is this one going? Will you ever make it anything more than food? I'm sorry if it's sounding a bit stark or something, but the fact is that it's going. No? So if we are going to use this as a boundary, then this boundary is too limiting for your reality, and because in your heart you cannot stand such a tiny limitation, it is going to pull you outwards. And many times what the mind does is that outward pull, it converts that into a desire and says, if I also had this, then I would be better off. If I had this relationship, then I would be better off. You see, or if I had this material thing, then I would be better off. So we want to expand ourselves beyond this flesh bucket into a bigger something. But the natural longing of the heart, you see, will already show you, if you don't refer to the representations of the mind, your vastness, which is independent of even the vastness of this entire manifest universe, is nothing for you. You see, so beyond all of this play of time and space you are. But you, as consciousness, have the power to determine, you see, any boundary that you decide about yourself. It will not make it true, but as consciousness, you can play as if it is true. So if you want to play as body mind, you can play as body mind. If you can play as, you see, as the universe, you can play as the universe. If you want to play as a Indian, you can play as an Indian. If you want to play as a man, you can play as a man. Any representation is possible uh, to play with. But what is real cannot change. Bad news? I thought I was delivering very good news actually.
You are telling me?
Yeah, I'm asking whether it sounded like good news, hopefully, because that's what I felt I was delivering. Yeah.
I couldn't listen and maybe relate your words to words what you said, but
We have recordings, recordings and transcripts.
at the same time I just feel you so purely, and I don't know, this feeling just comes so much recently that I don't know, like I miss you so much, and I don't know, I want to be with you, and
Yes, you're always welcome. All my children, we have a home here. You can always come. But we have to see how Grace plays with this COVID thing and how long it goes on.
I don't know. Sometimes I look and say what I'm doing here.
Yeah, yes, same actually. Same.
But it's like, Father, I just miss the presence of love. I feel to be in the presence of love, just so much incredible yearning for this. And
Okay, and without that idea, isn't there love? Whatever
without
true,
that,
whatever true we can get, we already have. Whatever true we think we can get, we already have. You see, it is only the layers of ideas of distance or attainment or something which make it seem as if they are distant.
yeah, it's this feeling intensify and comes when there is the opposite of it, the experience of opposites of it. Otherwise, yes,
Yes,
you
but
are with me, I'm with you.
the love that I'm speaking of does not have an opposite. The opposites of the game of like worldly love and hate play out in the universal beingness that you're being pointed to. Even last time, was it in the broadcast? I'm not sure, where we were saying that if it has an opposite, then just leave it.
Um, okay, when I say opposite father, I don't know, I feel to clarify this. It's like, um, I don't know, like, um,
Don't worry. You don't have to. Um, um, this thing don't have to represent in any way what I'm asked. What maybe I can make it simpler. So one. representation we can have of our life is to look at ourselves as this objective sort of entity, you see, and dealing with other objective entities, you see, that is one representation. But that representation is ephemeral because this entity has no real lasting quality, you see. Every day it changes, and every day it takes on interpretation which is so natural to us, it is so original to us, and yet in the human condition it seems to be rare now, especially after we grow up, you see. So, so we are pointing away from the limited representation as the body mind and going to the more universal insight that our intuition is telling us, you see. But if you want to and the thing is that the universal insight is so broad that it cannot be fit into the photocopy version of the representation of the ourself as body mind, you see. So, and if you try to do that, then that will cause even more trouble,
Hmm.
you see. So you be the universal and let the play of the body mind just happen in the naturalness of the intelligence on which this entire universe is functioning.
May you please say that
Yes.
again?
I don't know if I can, but let me try. So I said, you be what your higher insight is telling you about what you are, and let the ephemeral body mind representation play out in the light of the universal intelligence, which is taking care of all of this anyway. You can't understand it. You have to just allow it.
Last part I missed.
Uh, that universal intelligence, which is running this entire universe, can also take care of this body mind. So you allow it to take care of it without worrying too much about it.
Yeah. Yes.
Very good. Very good. Thank you, my dear. Thank you. All my love, all my blessings. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I see Prabha after a long time. Hello, my dear.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, my dear. You good?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you. Good.
Good. Yeah, I just wanted to share something that I
Yeah.
realized in the last few days.
Yeah.
Um, so basically, to say it in a few words, I realized that what I thought was my intuition for many
Uh-huh.
years was actually also my mind. And this really has dropped me into a place of I don't know
Uh-huh.
because I've been thinking all this time that I'm moving from my intuition and getting certain feelings and insights. And a lot of it is very like spiritual because sometimes it feels like a sudden burst of insight or a sudden feeling. But it's a lot of times when I've followed that, it's also realized later that it's my mind.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to
Good.
now.
Good. This is good report. Very good report, and I'm so glad you spotted it because many times the mind itself plays as if it is intuition. You see, and maybe it makes some dramatic sort of statements, or it can try and sound like a higher authority, you see, or something like that. You see, so how to? I've previously also given some tips in terms of how to recognize mind versus intuition, because this can be a valid question that all of us on the path can have. that okay, Ananta, so you say leave your mind and intuition will guide you, and when I receive this guidance, how can I really tell that is it is my intuition and not as if like not the mind posing as if it is intuition. So what is the tip? So the main tip is that go to the place where you are aware of yourself as awareness. You see, are you aware now? You see, your mind cannot reach there. It can have a conceptual answer, of course, saying yes, of course, I'm aware. You see, but it cannot meet this intuition. It is incapable of coming to it. You see, so the space where which this is clear that I am aware. You see, remain in that space, which means only that you do not take the representations or the versions of any other source to be meaningful or helpful. You see? Now, not only in this space, you see, of intuitive insight, is it clear what your reality is, but every bit of guidance that may be needed for the manifest functioning is also available there because it is the source of all of this intelligence which is running this world anyway. You see? So from there, we may receive some guidance, which sometimes may be silence. That's another aspect which confuses us many times. Saying, but I've let go of my mind, but where is the guidance? I was promised guidance. You see? So silence itself is very helpful guidance once we learn to accept. You see, once we become open, then we can accept that. Many times you may not receive guidance in terms of do this, do that, but you'll find that your hand starts moving or your feet start moving, your mouth starts speaking. You see, in fact, most of the sharing of satsang happens from that space. You see, happens from that space where there is no pre-consideration of the words which are going to come out from this mouth or no evaluation, nothing like that. Just remaining open and empty. The mouth is offered up as an instrument for the intuition to use, and the words flow like that. You see, so we can trust it both in its silence and in its guidance. Now, sometimes what happens is that this seems too difficult, or it can seem like I don't get this. Am I aware stuff? You see, so I don't know how to access this. But so there are some other tips which I can give you. One is that in your intuitive presence, you will notice that it is not in a rush, and it's not grasping for anything. You see, it's not like get this or with your mind. You see, even when it is trying to be like helpful and useful, it's basically saying grab at this, grab at that. You see, then you'll be better off. You see, so it has that kind of smell, and your nose will get better and better at it as you go along. Already, you spotted something very important. You see, so it is getting more and more refined already. So you will be able to spot the grasping nature of the mind versus the just the broad openness of your intuitive presence. You see, so in the presence, you will feel naturally some spaciousness, some openness, maybe some love. You see, just naturally like that. But with the mind, then it's very much about get this, do it in a rush. Mostly, one other tip is that the mind will rush you, one way or the other. You see, it will rush you, but your intuition will never rush you. You see. So beyond time and space. It is not concerned about, oh, you have to do this now, and you see, and like grasp this and you need it right now, you have to do it, or just get this done with right away. You see, this is what you need to do. Mm. So intuition is never running. Intuition is never going to judge you and say, if you go with the same problem twice. No, sometimes we feel like, how can I go back? You see, the intuition is never saying, oh, you didn't follow me yesterday. Now you come back again, is it? It doesn't have this kind of egoic sort of responses. It just it's just like a river which is flowing. Just like a river, it is not judging who is taking the water from it, whether it is used for drinking or for bathing. It is not making any of this sort of judgment, and it is not so concerned about outcomes. You see? So that same grace which led you to see that many times your mind was itself posturing as if it is spiritual guidance or intuitive guidance, the same grace is refining your knowing as you define.
The only thing that comes to me is, are there times though when doubt is legitimate? So, or like fear is legitimate because you may be in a situation and your intuition is telling you this isn't for you.
Yeah,
And maybe there is something time
of
sensitive
course.
about it. Maybe
Of
you
course.
do, maybe there is a time limit
Yes,
and
yes.
yeah.
Of course, my dear. In the worldly play, you see, of consciousness, playing this entire leela of the manifestation. You see, of course, there are. That is the whole point of guidance. You see, that guidance can is needed at times, or seems to be needed at times, and like even in satsang, if you say, "I'm going to try a new experiment tomorrow," where I'm going to, visit the zoo and offer the leopard my hand, and I say, no, 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 that that doesn't sound like a good idea. You stay away from that. You see, now does it sound like fear? Does it sound like doubt? Yes, yes, yes. So you stay away. Yes, I'm of course exaggerating the point. Sometimes the issues that seem to confront us are not as apparent as this example that I took, but but you can follow. You see, you can follow your heart, your intuitive guidance.
Yeah, I feel like a major identity I've had that I've kind of spotted out with this is the one who's trying to figure out the will of God. Like
Yeah,
the one that's praying and trying to understand, God, which way should I go? What should I do? And then the one that gets the insight and then does it with the
yeah,
faith of God or whatever, and that isn't working anymore
yeah,
because
yeah, yeah,
it's proven that that insight is wrong sometimes. So I'm
yeah,
trying to,
yeah.
like,
So,
that's been just a mode
okay,
I've been in for so long.
okay. Two things I want to tell you about this, and thank you for this. This is very helpful. A question to help me clarify these two things. So, firstly, the playground or the aspect of our being where figuring out can happen, in that aspect of our being we cannot figure out god or intuition, and that is not where intuition operates. You see? So, and this is very helpful that you said this, because this is what I've been also saying the last many weeks, where we come to a recognition of the truth, we even come to some guidance, but then we try to understand it, or to be a little stronger about it, we try to squeeze that into our tiny little heads, but we can't do it. You see, because it is too broad for it to fit. Like the head does not have the terms with which it can understand the mind of God. You see, art, this tiny body mind does not have the capacity to fathom the mind of God. You see, but that does not mean that we are lost and it is impossible. You will realize that the rest of you, everything is moving only in resonance with the will of God. You see, and that so we it's not that you are lost, it's only that we have been looking at the wrong space for the answer. You see, so if you don't visit there where you can figure something out, the will of God is apparent, but it is untranslatable in terms of concepts or mental understanding. You see?
Yeah.
And that is why the true intelligence, the supreme intelligence, can never be used personally, because the identity relies, or the made up concepts, bundles of thought rely on more concepts, you see, to try and broaden itself. But because it is unconceptualizable and yet so apparent in the heart, you see, that is why it can never be used personally.
Yeah. That really resonates with me.
You see, secondly, um, uh, you can never benchmark even that which comes from your heart against a conceptual notion of right and wrong. You see, because then what that would mean is that it is still the mind which is the master and is saying, this would be right, so do like that. This would be wrong, don't do like that. You see, and then it would still take the mastery position, and then poor little intuition then has to follow the master's idea of what is right and what is wrong, and conform to that. And intuition will never do that. You see, so it is important when you're letting go of the false limited mind and moving towards an intuitive life, a notionless existence, that if you still feel like there is a judgment which is possible in the head about what the outcome should be. You see, like we say, I went to my intuition, but it all went wrong for me after that. Can we really know? You see, therefore, we had an idea in our head about what intuition should do, and we were just looking at a way to achieve our desire by trying to access this cheat code or something of God. You see, once we leave it to God, then it's God's problem of what is auspicious or not. You see, we cannot say this is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong. In fact, even in this example, it seems like what turned out to be wrong actually ended up becoming right because you were able to spot the fallacy there, and it's brought you to a broader space. That is the power of grace, that it applies to everything, whether conceptually it may seem right or wrong.
Yeah. I think it is very much linked to having a desire. When you desire a certain outcome,
Yeah,
you'll almost, it was almost like tricking me to think, oh, this is my intuition, this is what I really want.
exactly.
And I think it also comes down to trust, because there's this fear of making mistakes, that I will make a big mistake and I will mess up my life, or which I've done in the past. So it's like it's very much based in fear of, like, I might make a wrong step, I'll make a mistake, and there. I really would love for this kind of just trust to emerge, where it's like I can't make a wrong step. I mean, I can. That's where I'm at too. It's this balance of, like,
Yeah,
having things look a certain way, and if they don't, then I've made a mistake,
yeah,
um, and not trusting that
yeah,
life is is ultimately benevolent. Really,
yeah, yeah. This is very good. What you're sharing is very good. So, what usually happens is that uh, we can inquire into who we are, but sometimes we don't feel like we, at the moment at least, don't have the temperament for it. No, and in that case, when there's no real feeling to really inquire into who we are, then I would say that even beyond trust, if we are blessed with a little bit of devotion, that is really helpful. because devotion is like a crude way to look at it is to say that it is trust plus love. You see, and when where because you're right that it's difficult to trust. You see, because there's a fear, but love is the antidote to fear. You see? Where there is love, there is no fear. So it becomes easier to trust when there is devotion because of the presence of love there. You see? And it's easier to you can follow with along some very absurd sort of things when you have trust there. You see, like the kind of things I say in satsanga can sound super absurd to the mind, isn't it? Are you aware now? Let go of all mental representations. To the mind, it just sounds like crazy talk. You see, so that trust is helpful. You see, to follow along. And then when the fear comes, as you become open and empty, you meet the nakedness of your pristine nothingness, you see, and there the mind can get really fearful. But if there's some love over there, then the fear cannot really become strong. You see? So usually what happens is that in most representations of consciousness in this human condition, either there is some openness to inquire or there's some devotion. I have rarely come across someone who has zero of either. And it can switch from time to time. It can switch from time to time. So I'm not saying we have to label ourselves as a Gyani or a Bhakta. I'm just saying that sometimes we feel like to look really who is suffering from all of this. And sometimes we just feel like we don't have the capacity to look at who is suffering. We just feel like everything is God's problem or my master's problem or whatever, something like this. But it can't just be lip service, you see.
You said when love is there, then fear cannot be. Love in to what though? Just
It's best if it's not objective. You see, what I mean by that is, for example, I can say we were just talking about this yesterday. So, oh, I love orange juice. You see, I love. So I need that object of orange juice, or at least an idea of that orange juice to experience that love that I have for it. And you've experienced this in relationships and things. So when an object is needed, that is sort of an objective love. You see, now as you come to uh, your own being, your own presence, you will notice that and if you leave that open and empty and undisturbed, you will feel naturally that there is love, there is joy, there is peace, which emanates from your being, you see, in service to your being itself. You see? So that love is just natural. It doesn't need a central object to focus on. You see, it's just broad and universal. It has no boundary. It's not more or less for something or something else. So that is not an objective love. That is a love of your own, love arising in your very presence. You see, there is an absolute love, you see, which is beyond even being and not being. You see, where we recognize ourselves as this pure self, where any notion of difference or separation is impossible. You see, so it is beyond even the notion of oneness or separation, and that is like the purest love, which is not different from yourself itself. So it is not that yourself is made up of love. It is that there is no difference between whether you say self or intuitive, pure intelligence, or the pure witnessing, or the most pure love. You see, but the word pure, of course, doesn't come close to defining the purity of it. But we have to use some words to point. So when I meant love, I was talking about the at least the love which is just in service to your pure being itself, not a sort of objective love.
Yeah. It's easier for me to trust when everything is going well. For the past 2 months, I've been dealing with like really bad allergies and health issues and things like that caused from the allergies. And it's just like, why? Like, what? I don't understand
Right,
why, you
right,
know? And
right.
how can I trust that,
Yeah.
you know?
The why is the opposite of trust.
Yeah.
You see, why is trying to figure out causation. You see, why? What is the reason? But our reason, like I pointed out, is too tiny to really fathom the mind of God. You see, so the why question is is the uh, primary thing in the human condition which causes suffering. You see, the what is the thing we used to have it on the board here only now removed it. No, you see, what is it now? I've forgotten. Who remembers? Bird got to fly, got to hunt. Bird got to fly. Man got to ask himself why. Bird got to land. Tiger got to sleep. Oh, okay. So tiger got to sleep. Bird got to land. Man has to tell himself he understands. You see.
Yeah.
So this need in the human condition, and it's kind of an arrogance. It's an inadvertent arrogance almost that I can understand. You see, so I've been saying these days, and I've not seen you for a few weeks, so I can repeat that. Don't try to understand for some time what you would not bother to explain to your squirrel. You see? And suddenly you'll see that there's so much spaciousness. You see? The need to stuff everything into our head is just making us so heavy and full of burden. So our idea is that resolution can come post mental understanding. You see, but the masters have told us, Master Bankai has told us very clearly, all things are perfectly resolved in the unborn. You see? It is not the unborn is what the unborn mind, empty of conceptual notionalizing. All things are perfectly resolved, but we have taken the reverse to be true, which is that only once I understand it can I fix it. But the fix is ever available before the understanding, but not in the way we want it. Maybe that causes the trouble. Okay, we are losing power in this, so we have to connect the other mic.
Thank you very much.
Oh, so welcome, Maria. I was just switching mics, and
Mhm.
I enjoyed this conversation very much.
Me
And
too. I
whatever
really
what is afflictions your body has at the moment, my full blessings, my full love for those to be healed by the Master's grace.
thank you so much. And I also just want to like pray or ask that I can more fully just step into a new way of, I guess, just a new mode of trust and just exactly what you're talking about, just not relying on my mind to make decisions in life and for intuition and just like really just letting it go. I mean, I know that's what everyone is here for in satsang, but like that's just kind of my prayer in the moment to just really, yeah, not have the arrogance to think that I can't understand anything.
All my blessings for that. All
Thank you.
my dear. So nice to see you. See you soon. All my love.
Yes, good to see you too. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, I see Christy.
Hello,
Hello,
namaste.
my dear. Namaste. Namaste.
Um, so my question is, um, there's, the state of being and the I am that we are, and and I recognize this, and I experience this, um, and I guess like ideally it'd be nice to be in this state all the time,
Mhm.
but there are moments when the state of being is like an emotion, like it's a strong, powerful love,
Yeah.
or it's a strong, powerful fear,
Yeah.
sometimes, and that's what the state of being is.
Yes.
And, you know, I've been like recognizing this more and more, to because I know that's not the being, right? But I don't know, anything you have to say about that, I
Yes,
guess.
yes, 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 my dear. I'm happy you're here. This it feels like we are interacting like this for the first time. So
Yes.
just feel at home, and you're very welcome. And just whatever comes up, without judging yourself, you can share openly. Don't worry about any of that. In terms of the being itself, you see, now this I amness is the primordial vibration. You see, it wakes up, and we say, I wake up. The world wakes up. I like to say it wakes up within this being itself. You see? So all the colors and textures and shapes and sizes of the immense possibility of what consciousness is occurs within this being itself. You see? So there is nothing manifesting which is not being or outside of being. You see? Now, what happens is that, and that's why Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharishi said that till being, I am, there is no trouble. It is only when this being itself takes I am, you see, I am itself takes itself to be I am something. That is where the trouble starts. You see. Now you will notice that the taking yourself to be, or the being taking itself to be something, needs more than perception. You see, the play of attention is the play of perception. Everything can be perceived. You see. Now, but to take yourself to be something, like a simple experiment I try sometimes is to say, okay, just look and take yourself to be this hand. Can you do it just by looking?
uh, I, I don't know.
Good, good. So it needs something else. You see, like believe this. You can't believe this. It's just a perception. What do I believe? So we need a message or something that we can latch on to our pure being. You see? So
Oh,
the idea that I am this hand, or this hand is mine, you see? Or he is my friend, this is his hand. So we can make some ownership in that way. And then this self definition already happened. Even if we say, ah, he's got a, my friend has a pretty big hand, you see? Because what is our representation being painted there? Because we are then saying, I am in the same family of bodies, you see, and I am one body. You see, so often we hear in spirituality that the notion I am the body has to be let go of. You see, but that notion I am the body is contained in most notions. Because I take the example of a simple notion which just sound like the coconut is green. You see, How is the notion of me contained in that? Maybe not like that. It is, we can dig into that also, but very soon you'll notice that you will have a judgment about it. You say, green coconuts have sweet water. I like sweet water. So the representation of you as the body is coming fairly soon, even following very harmless sounding notions. You see? So how to remain as pure being? It is nothing to do with attention. You see? Attention can go anywhere, and also, and this should be very good news, it has nothing to do with what is showing up actually. You see, try it out. Just look around the room or look in the Zoom everywhere. Give your attention to wherever it goes. You see, is there any sense of separation, any duality, any desire, any doership? No. You see? So, in this, what I call pure perception, there is no trouble. But when we start to label and language starts coming in, that's when the trouble starts. You see? So, consciousness has the ability to take representations in language or in mind to be valid representations. That's how it plays this game of individualization. You see, I am something, but for that something to be attached, there needs to be some words, there needs to be the mind, there needs to be this play of language. You see, so so, just coming back to relating this to your question, in the emergence of or the perception of anger or irritation or love or any of that, you see, it's no trouble. You're still being is still being. You see, so
Yeah.
being only poses as if it is something other than being. You see, a limited body mind entity when it picks up an idea about itself which is limiting in nature. You see, and the thing is that every idea is limiting in nature compared to the vastness of your being. Even if you say that I am the universe itself, no, you're not. You're much more than that. You say I am all the universes, the multiverses, all the universes that have ever come and gone. No, you're not. You're much more than that. You see, so no idea can encapsulate the vastness of your being.
Yes.
You see, and
Yes.
yet it is these ideas that being plays with in this play of Maya, in this play of playing as if delusion happens and then freedom happens. You see that it plays with these ideas and takes them to be true. And now coming to satsang, we are discarding these limited notions about ourselves and resting as pure being itself.
Mm. What I'm realizing from your words is that, that is being. It
Yeah.
flows. It transforms itself. There's no set way of, okay, I'm being, so that means I'm sitting still and there's nothing. No, like sometimes being is being love. Sometimes being is fear. But it's our mind that wants to control it or label it, in an effort to be the perfect way of being or
Yeah.
something, instead of just surrendering to just whatever it is.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly what I'm saying. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Very good.
um, yeah. Thank you.
You can share more. You were going to say?
Um, I don't know. I guess, yeah, I guess sometimes, like, I realize, though, I guess sometimes, like, it's like a judgment. Like, I don't want to feel this strong connection to somebody, or I don't want to feel this love, or I don't want to feel this fear. But that's my mind just judging it, and
Yeah.
instead of just allowing it to just to be, because
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that's just
What is
whatever.
what is the shape making that happens in that process? What do you take yourself to be when that representation is believed?
It's like I get it's like it's just being like I'm lost.
Yeah.
Like I don't. It's like I'm in that, and then I realize that I'm in that, and I want to, and then I'm like, okay, I can't be in that. It's too
Yeah.
much,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah. But again, I'm realizing now, as you're saying, it's just that's just my mind judging,
Yeah.
or you know, yeah.
So one tip I have, and maybe it's too much in the first interaction, but let me try anyway, is that if it has an opposite, throw it away.
Okay. So okay.
Any position, any notion, any idea, any representation, any story, you see, you are taking to be true at the moment, if it has an opposite, just let it go.
Okay.
And if the mind comes back strongly and says, but how can I live like this? And this is too empty for me. I need to plan. How this is not natural, all this kind of stuff. Then you're welcome to come back again. And I'm happy to, even otherwise, you're welcome to come back again. Uh, this is the usual reaction from the mind.
Okay. If it has an opposite, throw it away.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's an absolute. If there's an absolute, then that's the being. Is that kind of
If you have a notion of the absolute which has an opposite, you see, which means that it's nothing or it's not true or something, then throw away the notion of the absolute also.
okay? Huh. Okay.
I'm sorry, my love. 1 second. Okay, you can come back in.
Okay.
Yes, yes. So, so it may feel for a bit that there is nothing to stand on. There is no ground to stand on because you can't really find a notion which doesn't have an opposite. You see, but opposites are duality. You see, this is what has trapped us, and opposites is separation. So you will find the unchanging ground of your reality as you let go of the conceptual notions which can have opposites.
And that's that's caused from attachments to things,
Well,
right?
it's a circular story in a way, you see, where when you take the idea of duality or separation to be real, then there can be this idea of desire to expand ourselves, like I was saying earlier, and then there can be the idea of doership. What do I need to do to attain my desire? You see, but it can also sometimes start the other way, where it can feel like I need to do something. You see, and then you feel like, what should I do? Oh, I should get that. So then desire is born. You see, but why do I need that? Then I can be bigger than what I am today. You see, and then the idea of separation or duality can be there. So it's not usually I say duality, desire, doership, and desire is just attachment and desire are similar, but it doesn't have to go in that sequence. See? So if attachment has an opposite, which is detachment, don't worry about it.
Okay. Hmm.
You tell me how it goes, yes?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Weak. Okay. So we have El- Elena, Elena, and Madalena. Elena and
Hello,
hello, hello, Madalena.
hello, Ananta.
Yeah.
So good to see you.
Same, same.
I felt that I wanted to come up to be in front, to put myself in front of you, um, because I feel that my mind put it something in between, and I wanted to expose that because I don't want that.
Yes.
Um, because when I came to you first times, I felt so much love, and it surprised me,
Yeah.
and it kind of bypassed all my it just bypassed my um, usually I withdraw a bit. I just keep a distance. I that's why it surprised me that with you I so easily could connect.
Yeah.
But with this love, it also after a while arose some kind of fear of rejection,
Acha.
and uh, and then mind starts to play like I can do it myself, and will not bother, and don't take too much of his time, and
Acha.
that kind of things. So I thought I just want to come up and just to expose that.
Yeah. In my heart, I feel like the whole universe can fit, you see, and with enough room. And I don't feel like it is possible from here to reject. You see, I just don't feel like it's possible from here to reject. But what does happen at times is that if, for example, something is said strongly or something feels like it is not loving or something like that, then the mind can make it seem like, oh, he's rejecting me or something like that. You
Mhm.
see? So, so I'm glad you spotted this sort of uh, representation of rejection. Maybe it's a sort of way to escape, you see. And I heard what you said after that also, when you said, oh, maybe I can just do this by myself, I don't need this kind of struggle and things. So it can find devious ways to take us out of satsang, um, to fight this directness of the insights that you're clearly having. That's why your mind is reacting in these kind of ways, you see. So, so good, you spotted it, noticed it, and that's all. You just don't give it another thought. I mean, thoughts can come and go, but you remain open and empty, and just know that that this being, for whom this body is just an instrument, you see, this body of Ananta is just an instrument being used by this being, is your very presence. You see? So it can never reject you. Your own presence is the universal presence. It is consciousness itself. So it does not have these modes of accepting and rejecting. And all the teachers are just instruments in the hands of this being.
Yes, thank you very much.
Oh, so welcome, so welcome.
Thank you.
Very, very. I'm glad you're able to say this thing, And we started in satsang also. Another sweet boy, he came and said that so much this anger or attacking sort of tendency can come in the mind, but to just come and have the integrity to expose it and just to look beyond is so beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank
Love you.
you. Love you too. Love you so much. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, my batteries are going lower. Let's hear Madalena.
Namaste, Father. We are uh, we are a group in Satsang here. We have
Ah,
Anna, who is very keen to
so
stay here,
hello, my love. Ah,
and Anna brought us.
ah, hi there. Hello. So good, so good.
Yeah. Uh, It is good. Yeah. And while she was here in your presence, she was fire book. Yeah. Um, Now,
Yeah,
the reason I put my hand up is I'm a. Sorry?
I don't hear you and see you so well now, my dear. Is it my internet or do you feel like
It's mine. It could be mine. Can you hear me now?
it's a bit broken, but we can manage with this. It's fine.
Yep. Um, there are some. No, this body hasn't been doing very well today after an indulging lunch. Uh,
Uh-huh.
there is a past there is a past tendency which tries to evaluate what I did wrong. And before Guruji, I was going on a Reiki
Yes,
path,
yes,
which is focused on healing,
yes, yes.
uh, and also on whys and causalities and trying to fix things.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I also observe some reluctance in bringing this up in the discussion because there might be a strong attachment to finding something.
Acha.
And I also observe my being happy when Guruji, by example, speaks about energies or when he, in the last one Sangha gathering, he put a fire for the energies, for the dark energies there. And I thought, okay, so it's not only my belief, Guruji believes in that as well. So there must be something in it. Uh, and yeah, because probably because we are in the retreat, this popped up this week while I was watching a satsang. I had strong physical pains.
Mm.
It was a satsang that I watched before. I paused it. I chanted Yogiram Surat Kumar and I called for help from a friend
Yeah.
uh, to understand if it's something that's purifying in me or if there is an attack from external forces. I don't know if there is a difference or not, but my mind wanted to have that clarity. And I think it also comes from a fear of the unknown.
Yes.
Um,
By the way, when I say yes, I'm not confirming what you said. I'm just saying I'm listening.
you're listening and
Yeah.
you're more understanding what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, so I think I
Can I just ask
I
you?
perceive myself between two. Yeah.
Can I just ask you, without all of this, what is here?
My first impulse was to say headache, but I know that's being perceived, so that doesn't exist.
Okay, well, without the label, what is here?
Nothing.
Is it? Are you still here?
I am here.
Yes, but not as a thing. Then that's what nothing would mean. Then now, for this not a thing that you are, you see, what energy can hurt you or affect you?
Can I just say that I was when there is physical pain here,
Yeah.
it's after a number of hours and after asking for help again from someone else, um, a thought came that I should use this to my higher purpose, which is Guruji's teaching.
Yeah.
And
So what is here now?
I
Suppose that for just a few seconds, we were not concerned with any narrative.
nothing. Yeah.
You see? And I'm not saying that we must have some denial of pain or something. I'm not saying we should say there's no pain, there's no pain. Nothing like this. We're just looking at, just without any story, just with pure perception, and that which is even aware of this perception. Narrative equals mind, mind equals suffering. You see? Cannot have narrative and no suffering.
Thoughts are popping in.
Let them come and go.
I'm letting
Let
them
them come.
go. Yeah.
They're offering you a narrative. They're offering you an apparent understanding, but it is not an understanding of any value, which has sort of been the whole theme of satsang today.
Yes.
What is the weight of the space in this room?
The same with the weight of the space in my room.
Yes, but what is it?
Nothing.
We cannot say.
Mm.
And you lose the mind, or you lose the dependence on the mind, all that is lost is to make serious narratives about our seeming timeline. You see? But you're much beyond your timeline. You're much beyond this linear story. Anybody who would have witnessed everything that you have witnessed in that life can make that into 10 million different stories. Which one is true? We cannot say.
None.
You see? So, this, what does it all mean? Like, this is the pervasive question in the human condition. What does it all mean? And again, like I was telling Prabha earlier, that we are in this sort of spot because we feel like only once I understand it can I fix it. But actually, the resolution of it is prior to our conceptual understanding of it.
Mm.
Or a great sage like Bankai was just lying.
Mm.
So run out of the pages, run out of the ink for your story now, and enjoy time in all directions. If you are going to play with time, then play with it in all directions. Why do you have to have linear stories of yesterday, today, and tomorrow? Start with tomorrow, go to yesterday. Is it?
Mm.
Maybe it's been a long satsang. I have to shut up.
Hey. uh,
Good, good, good. Thank you, my dear.
Thank you so much.
Much. Very good. Okay, I see Dennis. Hello.
Hello, Guruji. Can you see me?
Hello, my dear. Yes, yes, I see you very well. Very happy to meet
Yeah,
you.
I don't think we haven't met. We definitely haven't met in person before, but I
Yes,
have
yes.
been living with your ads for a long time, and
Oh,
and they have been they are deeply transformative.
thank you.
And so the words of Guruji through you, I call you Guruji because it's one voice to me.
Ah,
I've met Guruji first, but
yeah,
you're Guruji too. And I I feel like some powerful clarifications are taking place,
yes,
and I feel it's powerful to check them with you.
yes, my
Um,
dear.
I think there's a sage. I think he said that the world as an independent reality is not real.
Yeah,
The self alone is real, and then the world is real as a self.
yes, yes,
So
yes.
the final world is real as the self feels like has detonated. But I don't. I want to make sure I'm not in any delusion about it.
Yes. No, it sounds.
Which is
You can go ahead, my dear. Go ahead.
yes, and specifically as I see it now, um, the arising of the waking state is the arising of apparent reality as a whole,
Yeah.
and apparent being the key word,
Yes.
being that the only truth of the waking state is being. So all thoughts are only just apparent. They're not
Yes.
true. They're only just apparent.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So they're exactly like clouds.
Yes.
So you are literally not kidding when you say let go of your next thought.
No, I'm not kidding at all. I'm literally not kidding.
It is so wonderful
Good. I'm so happy. I'm so happy to hear this report.
because the waking state has to be the arising of God,
Yes, yes,
and God is unmoving. So the forms are only apparently moving,
yes. Yeah.
and we are God,
Yes, 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 yes,
unmoving and moving,
yes,
apparently.
yes.
And beyond that, nothing can be said.
Yes.
And we are
Actually,
that also.
even that cannot
Is
be
it?
said, actually.
Actually, yes. Even that cannot be said.
It can be said, but just for fun.
Yes.
Oh, so good. So good. So happy. So happy. Very good. Very good. Very
Thank you.
good. All
Thank
man.
you, Father.
All man.
Thank you.
You're always right. Always right. Very good. Very good. Very
Thank you, Father.
good. Excellent,
I
yeah.
hope to meet you someday.
Yes, yes, yes. Maybe so.
Yes.
Maybe so.
Yes. But I've met you already. So
Ah, yes, yes.
yes. Thank you.
Really touch my heart. Really touch my heart. Thank you. Okay. Last hand for the day, and then we can see if do we have energy for chat questions. We will see. Lawrence can come, my dear.
I think I unmuted myself. Can you hear me? Is it
Just a whisper. We just hear a little bit of a whisper.
is it okay?
Yes, yes, it's good. It's good now.
Okay.
Yes.
Um, Not sure much can be said after what Dennis said.
Ah, yes.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Sangha. Mm. So just this silent, just to expose, this silent retreat is bringing up a lot of stuff. And I suppose the thing I'd like to expose is a very subtle is the something that came to show me subtle attachment to body, belief in body. There has been this calling my grandfather,
Uh-huh.
calling and calling for my grandfather's soul. And all sorts of impulse to go and look at pictures of tiny one, together with thoughts of might be going soon.
Gotcha.
Blah, blah, blah. He sort of was the one being who showed love to this one, true love.
Just try the narrative upside down.
Huh?
Try the narrative, but upside down.
Upside down. Meaning?
If it's the right side up, just turn it the other way around.
I- So I think what like huh?
I love the childlike reactions, you know. I love those much more than any considered sort of treatment. You see, I love the huh? What?
Try to stand on my hands upside down, but
Now turn that story upside.
I can see the whole blah blah blah, the whole story about
But then we can make that also part of our narrative. No, the thing with anything is that we can make it part of our narrative. You see? You see? So even to say that I can see the blah 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 is a way indirectly of making meaning out of the blah blah blah.
yes, 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 yes. Mine is getting very subtle.
Turn it upside down.
The nim
Yeah, that's more like
nim si ginget.
that's that's it. During the time of the silent retreat, just go with this.
Yes. Ah, yeah.
It may sound like a very simplistic pointing, no? And maybe it can feel like I'm not really giving attention to your question or something, but really it isn't. It's just this fresh God. You see, it's so vast and immense. You see, and to there's actually no space for past or future. Just right now. So for the mind, it is shockingly vast. Is it? And that's why it tries to say, this is what was happening, and now this is how it's playing out. We don't know any of this. And I'm speaking on your behalf. Hopefully, I'm not misrepresenting, but at least I don't know any of this. If I was to tell you, yesterday this happened, and then today this happened, my day was like this, and I'm just giving you some very broad brushstrokes about a life which is so full of intricacy and richness and duty, and every moment is so full of so much, light and sound. You see. So, what should I believe? The light I see in your eyes, or the reports that your mouths make? It's
The light. Mind is playing all its tricks these
yeah.
days to try to catch up. And let's focus on the light.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Glad I exposed this.
I'm happy too. I'm happy too because this just helps us all just become broader,
Mm.
not linear. You see?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm. Thank you. Thank you all.
So good, so good, so good. Okay, there are some 50 messages in chat. What are we gonna do? I have to say that the feeling is that we've covered very vast, a broad spectrum of spiritual confusion and answered most of the questions there. But if there's something really strong which still you feel is left uncovered, then I will look at the fresh messages that you post after this point where the bhajan is playing. And if I find something which is which we left uncovered ground, then I'll be happy to answer. See, no? Come.
Om Namo Bhagavate. Om Namo Bhagavate. Om Namo Bhagavate. Om, Om Bhagavate. Om, Om Vasudevaya. Om, Om Bhagavate. Om, Om Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate. Om Namo 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 Bhagavate. Om Namo Bhagavate. Om, Om Bhagavate. Om, Om Vasudevaya. Om, Om Bhagavate. Om, Om Vasudevaya. Om, Om Bhagavate. Om, Om Vasudevaya. Om, Om Bhagavate. Om, Om Vasudevaya.
Thank you all so much for being in Satsang today. Sadhguru Sri Muji Baba ki Jai. Guru Kripa Kevalam.